I don't want to be
I'm
the
going to
last.
actually go the opposite. So, I mean, maybe it's a time now for us to just lay into Lagerwey, right? Because we were calling, if you're the podcast listener, you'll know we were calling. We wrote the song, people, about firing Pineda.
You can keep talking over the song. Go ahead.
It's almost impossible.
We're at least free of talking about Gonzalo Pineda.
Yeah. So, okay, so we were calling for this, right? And Lagerwey came through. Awesome, right? So you think this is a turning point, right? But as I always said, you should never fire a coach unless you're pretty confident that you have another coach who is better, who is like lined up and ready to come in.
You've said that over and over again.
Yeah. Well, we didn't do that.
No.
We just fired the coach and this was our first idea. Oh, now what do? We're running a football club. What do we do when we fire a coach?
Dude, I cannot get my head around what is happening right now. I'm so disappointed and just like deeply rooted angry that the official statement from the club when we fired Pineda was appreciate you, yada yada, say all the right things, and then we say we're starting our coaching search tomorrow, which of course I didn't want to hear because I would have hoped you had started your coaching search.
Finishing the coaching search tomorrow.
Your coaching search, even if you don't tell Pineda about it, you still
right. So if you make the decision to fire Pineda, you can make the decision, okay, he's gone, right? And then you can start in the background and you can let him keep coaching and then fire him. And then, you don't want to fire him and then like the next day hire someone, but you should get it all lined up.
Right. Get it all lined up.
Ducks in a row.
So not only didn't have anything apparently lined up.
No.
We told our fan base through the official presser that the coaching search was going to begin the next day. Also a lie. And then we hear some quotes from Lagerwey saying, you can't be doing a coaching search while also focusing on signing players during the summer window. These are things that I've read. I don't know if you read the same thing.
Yeah. He said this because he was like, we're focusing on the summer window. You're like, how do you sign players without knowing what the coach is going to do? What's the system?
And he also alluded to the fact that whoever who's the group, the Arthur Blanks group, they demand a firm do the search.
Okay.
So all of this might be part of the problem on why Lagerwey wasn't able to influence that when say, hey, get your firm working in the background right now. If Pineda doesn't get his shit together in the next 4 weeks and the math that I have in my formula isn't adding up, I'm going to have to let him go and at least want some really good options. Okay.
Remember he said it was going to be the point where if we then average whatever it was, 2 point something points per game, that we would still get in the top 4. That was the moment. With the idea being, he really thought that when he fired it and he handed it over to Valentino, that we were going to go 2 something points per game and we were going to get to the top 4.
Yeah.
And he sold our best 2 players, Almada and Gigi.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And again, Giacomakis, we didn't have to sell him. I don't care what the profit was. Just said, suck it. You're going to play for us and you're going to try to get us in the playoffs.
And I know there's a lot of players, a lot of people out there who are like, oh, good riddance because he's injury prone. He is still a proven goal scorer.
Right.
And those are not easy to come by. This idea that, you just go out on the street and you find yourself a proven goal scorer. Good luck.
Yeah.
If it was that easy, everybody would have a proven goal scorer.
Right.
Yeah.
So upset with that, right? Almada, I get it. I'm actually thankful that he's finding his way over the pond.
Yeah, good for him.
Good for him. That was always likely.
Although, again, even that signing was nuts because they signed him and he wasn't even ready to move to Europe. So he had to go play for a week or 2 weeks in South America. And you're like, okay, if that was true, why not either not sign him for sell him for 2 more weeks, right? Because the window wasn't closed. Right. Or B, sign him and loan him back to us for those 2 weeks. Why is it?
Yeah.
What was the madness about that?
I don't know if it's TAM and GAM getting in the way of that. I don't know how the cap issues work. Maybe there's something there that somebody can comment on. But now, Dave, then, there's been additional quotes from Lagerwey saying, that a coach, while important, is only like 20% of the equation, and it's about the players, and everything's still like in social media, in the press, seems to all still say, which of course right now we have some gaps in the talent with Amada and Gigi gone, but we have a lot of nice pieces still. That again, Lagerwey saying the coach isn't all that important, and we're not going to rush it. But why is there zero urgency? And again, I was texting you this. So the U.S. men's national team, if you are listening to the podcast and you don't watch international soccer, U.S. soccer has been getting crushed the last couple decades on being a little bit too much of a fiefdom, only looking
incest 101.
Yeah, only looking within a certain select
former national team players,
former national team players, brothers, sisters.
Yep.
Anyway, they went out and they actually tried to go after Klopp. They at least called him on the phone, or
They called him.
Probably called some other people that were stretch bets. But another one, probably top 10 coach in the world right now, Pochettino.
And all these people said Pochettino's never coming to America. He's coming to America.
Accepts he was basically entertaining, I think, the England job or the U.S. job from what I was.
Oh, really?
Granted,
I didn't know
think that we're not going to get Pochettino to pick Atlanta United over the U.S. national team, but that just shows that he was open for a change, as we thought about.
That's exactly the same way they called up. That's what I was saying when Pineda was released, that Lagerwey better be on a plane talking to somebody in Europe. And evidently it should have at least been Pochettino. And taking him out to lunch.
Yes.
Do something. That's your job.
Gallardo came back.
He
went back to Boca
around the hoop
from Saudi Arabia.
Oh,
and his son is here. And no.
No.
So all of those European coaches who were available, right?
And it seems like now that they're waiting for this window to close before they start searching again, means that maybe if they're going for your thing and trying to get Wilfred Nancy and just poach,
that's their only saving grace.
That
if they're
would be
literally like, we are the boss club and we are going to get, and I don't think Wilfred Nancy's coming here.
That's his only,
because if you're Wilfred Nancy, once upon a time, more in the recent history, you would say, oh yeah, I'm leaving Columbus because they don't have money to buy players. Atlanta has a much bigger fan base, much bigger city, much bigger salary, blah, 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 blah. It may not be true anymore.
No.
We don't look that.
All our credits burning up.
Yeah.
I mean, that Leagues Cup game was an eye opener. And I just don't understand how Lagerwey just doesn't have the urgency and understand what's at stake right now.
He kept saying,
I don't care if his spreadsheet, Dave, shows that our TAM and GAM is in order. We need to be out there, just going for it. I don't Barcelona might mismanage their money, but at least they're talking and trying to figure out who the next.
To get a good player.
At least they got ambition still.
Drive the team.
They're a dumpster fire
into the gutter, but hey, we're gonna go right. Yeah. So here's the thing. He kept saying that, I expect, Valentino will win the job. I'm like, BS. He shouldn't. I don't care if he wins every single game the rest of the season.
Yeah, no.
We are not a club that should ever be satisfied with a coach who doesn't have already a proven record winning games as a head coach.
So period. How did we get it so right with Tata? And we had the blueprint, and we're like, that wasn't it.
Yeah, I don't get it.
That wasn't it. Oh, by the way, Tata Martino might be a good coach if you've been paying attention to the best team in MLS.
Even without Messi, he's still in first place. Yeah, I don't get it. And okay, so you make certain decisions. They went after some names, which Heinze had a winning record in South America. It was brief, so you might want to settle longer before you take him, but okay. He had De Boer had a mixed record and had some not good things coming in. But and Pineda, you say, okay, we're mixing it up. We're gonna try the best assistant coach in MLS kind of thing. I'm okay with all of that. I'm not happy about it. I don't think I would have done that, but I'm okay with it. Right. But once you've made that mistake and seen what happens, the next hire has got to be a proven coach with a head coaching proven record. Period.
Yeah. And you would think Lagerwey's thinking that right now, right?
I don't think he is, because he was thinking about Valentino as being the next head coach, which is madness.
Okay. True.
Madness. He kept talking about Valentino. Oh, maybe he'll earn the job. And I'm like, no, he won't.
I'm talking about like now that Valentino is crash and burned.
Does Lagerwey even know that?
I don't think so.
Does he even know that Does he even know that Valentino has crashed and burned?
No.
Are you sure about that?
I don't think so. He does. He's supposedly a stats guy. You would think that
It's
all
only
those
20% as a coach matters.
Loss. You would think maybe the math would add up
So
there.
first of all, here's what I think though, right? And this won't worry about. So Lagerwey, comes in with this amazing track record in MLS, right? He's won 2 MLS titles at 2 different clubs,
Yep.
right? He was executive of the year twice, right? So you're like, oh my God, this is great. Again, proven record as a general manager. That's what you want in this league, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you're like, home run. When he got hired, I'm like, that is a home run. And you never know, but it's at least that's a good hire. You win the press conference kind of thing. But here's my worry, right? In both of those jobs, he kind of inherited and stuck with the same coach, and he built better players and they won. And in both cases, MLS was a lot younger, right? And it was a lot closer at the margins, and you could kind of win that way.
But there's 8 more teams.
You cannot win that way anymore in MLS. MLS is a much better league. The LAFCs and the LA Galaxies are buying Giroud and Roos and all these great players, right? You are not winning in Salt Lake City by just managing your tam and gam.
Yeah, no.
It's not going to happen. You actually have to go out, and the most important thing you can do in a salary cap league, the most important thing you can possibly do, the one thing that you don't have to worry about the salary, is the coach. The one thing that you have no limit for is the coach. So you have got to go get the best coach. If you want to be the best team in MLS, you've got to go and get the best coach, period.
Yeah, and we didn't even go over to Europe and talk to anybody.
No,
all summer,
all of those guys just go.
Yeah.
Like,
It's
right?
Like,
I don't. Well,
things are
it doesn't sound like
happening
we even talked to them.
No,
Nothing's been going on.
No. And some of those guys were a little bit crossed by terrible European systems where they're just going to fire their coach no matter what. They had won the league title and still got fired, kind of thing,
right?
Like Pochettino,
Yeah.
Right? But and they were willing to go be like, F you, I'm going to take a couple years and go to a different league.
A 2-year reset at Atlanta United.
Yes.
Ooh.
They were willing to do it.
Yeah, that's kind of what Tata
Like
did.
Allegri,
True.
Juventus coach, who they sacked the second time. Oh my God. I think he's still available.
Yeah.
Like, why not?
Yeah, and he's like, there was an article on ESPN. It was like the top 50 coaches in soccer. And Pochettino was like it was number 10, I think,
Okay.
9 or 10, and the U.S. national team was able to court him from not having a job.
Pochettino, as I said over and
Tottenham,
over and over, made so much sense for Atlanta United because he's Argentinian, he's younger, he's really good at bringing players through the system. He would have had the pipeline. I mean, he made a ton of sense here.
I don't think we have an Argentinian on the team anymore, do we?
No, but we have had a lot
Isn't
of
that
South
weird,
American
though?
players coming through.
I'm just calling out. Isn't that weird? With Almada leaving, right? This is the first moment in Atlanta United history without an Argentinian player. How things have fallen. Like that was part of our little bit of our culture too.
Yeah.
There's a little of that.
Yeah, I mean, Lagerwey said they was going to orient a little bit towards Europe, and he's done that. But and I'm okay with that, right? There's good players in Europe.
I'm not, because it sure doesn't seem to be the winning recipe right now.
Well, he got a great player in Sleaze.
Yeah.
He's a terrific player.
Gregerson's great player.
Gregerson looks like he's legit.
Yeah.
We haven't talked about it yet. We probably will. Amador, the left back.
Maybe.
Okay. All right.
It's okay.
Better than Wiley?
We haven't. No. Well, interesting. He's certainly not a better player than Wiley, but He could be at this point in his career with the coaching that Wiley was getting, which was not good. He could be a better defender,
Okay.
which is actually more important.
Okay. All right.
Although, here's the ultimate irony, right? When you get rid of Gigi and Almada, you suddenly need Wiley bombing forward because you got to create something, right? But no, we didn't keep him either.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So that's the thing, right? Like, where are we going? What is the plan? What is plan B? What is the backup tactically?
Well, we also have 2 DP spots technically open. It sounds like they're holding off on those till hopefully a coach is involved.
Would be good. Uh-huh.
That would at least be good timing. But
apparently they offered some striker and they struck out on him. Right, there was a striker that they wanted to get.
I just don't recall paying attention to a team where I just feel like we've just kind of just totally given up on any sort of game plan for a season that started off with a roster that by all means should have been punching for MLS Cup.
MLS Cup contender for sure.
Super excited at the beginning of the year.
And we're 2 games away from being at the bottom of the table.
Right. And the thing about it that's so frustrating, is the coach. The coach, right? And if you learned anything after we lost Tata from this run of different things that we have had, right? What you should have learned, the lesson from that is no matter who you get on the team, you still need to have the best coach. That's how you win MLS. It is not necessarily, you just get the best players. It doesn't matter who the coach is.
And like I said, now that MLS is a different animal from when it was when Lagerwey was winning back in Seattle,
for sure.
I do think the influence of like a bigger name coach like Tata and Miami, you obviously see that with being able to court all the retired Barcelona players. It does matter. It does matter to get like the city matters too, but the coach can almost sway anything in a city like Atlanta, where it might not be the glitzy destination of the California coast or Miami.
Exactly.
A coach that you want to play for. Had we gotten Pochettino, could you imagine some of the European players that have been like, hey, you know what? Oh, MLS this. I'd be able to play for Pochettino when I go over there.
Yeah.
Like, I would have done everything possible to at least take a swing. At least tell me you took a swing too. Yeah. They did. They haven't communicated anything because they haven't done anything.
Not at all.
Yeah. I mean, to me, it is absolutely unacceptable what we have done with the coaching search. So we can have an argument about what we've done with players, whether we should have sold Wiley, Almada, Gigi in the same window, blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of things you can have an argument. You cannot have an argument with me about the coach. You fire the coach. There should be a coaching search underway, right? It should be absolutely evident that there is an absolutely active search underway, period.
And another thing I want to bring up, and I'm curious of your opinion, is a lot of people are like, Boca out for the last 5 years. People have been saying that.
Right.
But I also, I'm okay with that. If, same way with a coach, you got somebody better.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. And Bocanegra, by all accounts, even right now, seems to be getting talent in the door.
I mean, what I want to say to people is who are our terrible, I mean, everybody says, oh, the squad is not good enough and it's all the players or whatever. Who are the terrible signings and who's a good signing? We can go through, right? Yeah. So Almada was a great signing for sure.
Great signing.
Gigi was a great signing for sure. And even if he had injury issues, he was still the newcomer of the year and the leading scorer per minute in the whole MLS. Yeah. That's a good signing. Sleaze to me was the missing piece we needed to clean up the midfield. Yeah. Right. He replaced, we lost, an amazing defender in Miles, right? But he replaced him with a Gregerson, looks like a good signing, right? Where's our horrible signings? Yeah. I think they brought in like a Rios as a backup. Right. He's never going to be a starter, but
like in Muyamba, like I think everybody's expectations are off on who he was ever going to be. Like at least I think our expectations for who he was always
more realistic
than what he is.
Yeah. And I think he's not great.
And he's not great.
But he had flashes that tricked us a little bit. But
and I don't know that he gets paid that much.
I have to say, I was very, very early on saying that everybody was going to be disappointed by Muyamba. You can go back to the podcast to hear that.
Silva is a luxury player on most teams.
I think Silva, it looks to me, we had a series of players that were really talented who our coaching staff could not unlock. Araujo,
Yep.
Marcelino Moreno,
Oh,
and
gosh.
Silva looks in that ilk,
Yeah.
right? Which is he looks like a
People
talented
forget how
player.
good PT Martinez was a
Yeah.
baller.
I
you
forgot about
you don't go to
him.
Saudi Arabia League and get paid a ton unless as someone who knows how to assess talent
Yeah.
is like, that guy's a baller. And he was a baller.
Okay.
And again, untapped potential.
You're
but-
So I
that's
think
all,
to me,
yeah.
a good coach. Am I saying that Silva is the MLS Player of the Year? No, but what I'm saying is a good coach could really unlock him. He's got talent. He really does. And I think the same thing with Saba, right? Saba's got real talent.
Yeah.
Are they number one players to lead the line and take all the attention? Probably not.
And again, this is assessing that even from day one, like watching like 2 or 3 games. And I find this interesting reading the Doug Roberson article about like the problem is simple. Like we're not clinical enough was the thesis of his. Well, it didn't take very long for a coach, right, to look at Saba and Silva and be like, look, very skillful players. Actually, they get in a lot of great positions tactically. They're athletic, skillful on the ball, but they are not clinical players. And you could see that right away. So this is not a secret. And that's probably why they didn't succeed in Europe because they aren't clinical. And that's why they're at Atlanta United.
Right. And
Okay?
expecting them to
So,
be as sort of nuts.
Again, people, this is where coaching understands that as a baseline that Saba. And so how do you get the most of them is you design around their strengths and keep them from screwing up by trying to be too clinical when they are not clinical players.
You put Saba in the mix. You allow him to be in the more midfield where he's comfortable playing in tight spaces. And you push Silva as high up the field as possible because he can beat a guy and he can finish, right? And so the problem that Silva has is he beats a guy and now we're expecting him to deliver the great ball and it's never in his talent. So in my opinion.
So I agree. Like Silva can be clinical once he's up in the box in areas like that, but so saying Silva's not clinical is a little bit of a wrong thing. I'm aligning with you there, but by the time he has gotten into the space, he's already kind of done too much. And he's trying to get an extra move in. Whereas like if somebody plays him a nice ball and he didn't do all the work to get there, then he usually can, put it away or
in my opinion, the moment we lost Gigi and Almada, Silva would have gone into center forward and Saba would have gone into the attacking midfield. They would have taken those roles and other people would take it, even to the point where Tiare could be out wide. Yeah. He's got way more pace, right? And he runs by people or whatever, right? This idea that this guy came to me as a whatever. I mean, and you know how you see it? You want to know what a coach does, Carmen? Mikey Dobbs? Right? Who is our best player of all time?
Miguel Almiron.
And Joseph Martinez, right? Joseph Martinez, when he was playing in Italy, when Tata signed him, he was a winger, right? Yeah. So if Pineda had signed him, he would still be a goddamn winger.
Yeah.
What Tata said is this guy's quick, he can finish, and he's not. The people who had him on the wing probably saw him as whatever he is, 5'9" instead of 6'5", and they're like, my striker has to be 6'9", right? And Tata was like, no, he can finish, he's clever, he's quick, he's giving movements, he should be a striker, and look what happened.
Yeah.
Right? So this idea, and the ultimate in this is Pep Guardiola. All kinds of people come to him as different players, and he moves them, right? Because he says, okay, first of all, I'm never going to pigeonhole you, right? You came to me as a winger, you have to be a winger, right? I'm going to look at your talents, and I'm going to look at my team, and I'm going to see what I need, right? So if I'm looking at our team right now, we need a striker, right? Silva should be leading the line.
Yep.
We needed a creative guy before we got Marinchuk, who could be that guy, right? But Marinchuk looks to me like comfortable out in space or whatever. I would still tinker with Saba in the middle and Marinchuk as the right of the front three, Silva in the middle, right? Or Mascara and Marinchuk playing inverted.
Yep.
Right?
Figure it out.
Like, look at their talents, people. It's not just who the players are, but look what they do well and put them in a place to succeed, right? Silva is really good physical. He's really good at beating his guy one-on-one, but often he beats his guy so far out here, and then he can't deliver a great ball. But if he's beating a guy up front, he's got a shot, and now he'll score.